What's up, everybody? Today we are going to be looking at some more how to make money online videos. And as someone who has been making money online for the last 11 years through a variety of business models, I'm going to give you my thoughts. What's good, what's bad, what's ugly as hell. With that said, let's get started.
$10 to $50,000 per month using social media. Here are my 3 top tips on where to start. Number 1, figure out your niche. Are you funny or are you an expert in a certain field? Really ask yourself, what do I want the world to know me as? Then go all in. Number
Pick a niche. This is like the most overused talking point of all time. Does not mean it's wrong. Does not mean it's not relevant. But like, damn, that's all everyone ever says is pick a niche, pick a niche, pick a niche. I think the thing that I don't like about choosing a niche is that it gets everyone hung up. Like everyone gets so hung up on picking a niche. There's sort of two types of businesses. There's like sort of a content audience led business, and then there's like a problem solution offer led business. So either you kind of come up with this offer that you want to build a business around, or you go build this audience platform and then give that audience what they want. And niche is never the first step in either of these categories. Like, I mean, you do kind of need to pick some sort of direction with content, but like this guy's on TikTok. You don't even need to pick a niche on TikTok to build an audience. You just start posting content, start consistently putting something out there, and you can build followers. They're not necessarily focused followers. So like knowing what you're wanting to do or having a rough idea of what you want to do with the audience you're building is helpful, but most people know that. And so when you give them this thing of like hyper focus on start with a niche, I don't know. I just feel like it's overused counterproductive advice.
number 2, not sure which niche? The 3 big ones are content that entertains people, content that inspires people, or content that educates people.
Okay, I like that. I really like that talking point because that he gave some legs to the whole vague pick a niche idea. He said, entertainment, uh, inspiration, education, those are still kind of vague, but like, I think it helps people think about it in a consistent way. The thing is, you can like cross over all 3 of these. I think most brands do to some extent.
For instance, with my content, I work to inspire and educate.
Okay.
Number
So right there, he's okay. So he is saying you can do more than one.
3, and this one's very important. Don't copy other people. Be authentic to yourself. This is critical for sustained growth in the future. Personal branding is paramount to building an audience. So find your niche and go all in.
Okay, that third point I super disagree with. The best way to start making content is to go look at content that's succeeding, that has succeeded, and emulate it. Probably the most successful video I could make right now would be to go look at like the copywriting videos with the most views. Just like look at what the title is, whatever, and make kind of a copycat video. Putting my own spin on it, rebranding, retooling, rephrasing. But when it comes to video content, just doing what has already proven to work is the best way to build traction. I will say that like as you move forward, you do need some angle that defines your brand. I think that what I'm more focused on is what's the advice that really fucks people up early in their career. And so this thing of like go be unique, that'll fuck you up. I promise you, if you go into creating content with this idea of I need to be unique, you will not produce anything and you will not build any traction. If you go into it with this idea of like, I need to go like learn from what's working and put the reps in and then adjust as I go, develop my unique take, my unique like focus as I go, as I put the reps in and learn. I think that's going to be a lot more helpful for people trying to make money online is go put the reps in, go do the proven stuff. Don't worry about competition or saturation. Just go in and take the Gary V approach of like pure volume and just pure like, I'm going to work. I'm going to make more than anyone else. You learn so much by doing and you'll find your angle. You'll find the way to bring the unique kind of authentic spin that is going to define, your brand. But very, very few people um, can just be themselves and build some big following. Um, More people are doing that through TikTok than on any other channel before, but it's still a small percentage. Most people, you need to find what people want and give them that, and then find your own unique angle of giving people what they want.
It's a box truck that's made me over $1 million in the past 2 years of ownership. And I actually bought this box truck for $5,000. I started my junk removal.
I just want to say I hate the melodramatic background music in all, like, so many of these videos. I hate it so much. It's so unnecessary and it doesn't help anyone.
Company with a truck and trailer. My dad actually
$1 million in revenue from a box truck in 1 year. I mean, that's quite a claim. That's quite any. He said revenue though, so that's the key. I appreciate him saying revenue, not just I made 1,000 or $1 million. But let's see, like that doesn't necessarily feel completely undoable. So far I'm intrigued. Like, how did he do it?
let me borrow his truck. I scaled it up to multiple 5 figures a month. I ended up buying this bad boy on Facebook Marketplace. It was listed for 8,700. I ended up getting it for $5,000. I would say I was lucky there. And we've had this truck for about 2 years now, and it's made about 1.3 million in revenue, just to be exact. And I'm actually getting ready to sell this truck now, and I'm going to get every single dollar that I bought it for. So, here's the deal. It's like, you can buy a truck just like this, $5,000, and literally buy a box truck just like this. I know somebody who just bought one for 2,500. You could start a junk removal company and make $1 million a year easily. If you don't.
Okay, so I looked this guy up. This is what he's selling. It's a He basically sells courses on how to build a junk removal business. So he's saying he makes 83,000 a month in revenue from junk removal from a single truck. I've heard enough about this space that I would not assume that this is like a scam, in the sense of it's probably something that like people are making good money from. And especially if you're hiring this out, like I would imagine he hires out, because he said revenue, not net profit. So I would imagine he hires out. Sounded like his dad does this. And so he bought a truck and is doing the same thing his dad's business does. And now he's just on TikTok, also monetizing it through teaching people how to do it as well. That can be pretty legit. I mean, this number, it strikes me as like ambitious, but not necessarily undoable, particularly if we're talking about someone who already has a good idea about lead acquisition. Like, he's using probably the same lead acquisition methods that his dad was using for his dad's business. So he already understands exactly how to make this all work. Um, and now he's like kind of framing it in the easiest, most accessible possible lens to build his brand on TikTok and sell his training, which, I don't take issue with that. I don't have a problem that I would be a hypocrite if I had a problem with people training others to do what they've done, if it's something that they think other people will want to also emulate. And any business model that has relatively low startup costs, I think it's always worth pursuing over something, a more traditional business where you need to invest like hundreds of thousands of dollars in capital just to get started. You just have so much risk at that point. Whereas something like this, assuming this guy's method is legit and is actively working in 2023, that's another big thing you have to watch for. Is a lot of people selling training on stuff. They're selling training that has not worked in a long time. You have people who, they came in, they did some sort of business model at some point in their career, it succeeded, and then as the market moved in a different direction, they now took that and they're like, well, I can't make any money from this directly, but I can still tell people I am. And then and there's a feeling of legitimacy to it because it did work at some point. Now, I do not think that's what happened. That's what's happening here. I honestly don't know on a scale of 1 to 10 how legit this is, but it sounds fine. Sounds like a viable business model. But I've seen like probably the most popular brand in the copywriting training space, direct competitor of mine. I'm not going to list them just because I think it's a slippery slope to list direct competitors of mine and try to trash them. But I will just say they're a very well-known brand. And the big model that they teach is commission-based sales letters. This method has not been it has not been something that's really in the market in like 20 years. It's like an old school direct copywriting type of gig. Um, I've talked to some of the best sales letter writers in the world right now. People who are actively writing in the niches where that still even exists. Um, and they have never made six figures in commission off of a single sales letter. It's not how the market works. And so this whole brand is built around this very obvious lie. And they use it to sell all these little incremental trainings, like just to pitch this idea that's completely trashed. So kind of a tangent here, has nothing to do with what Kyle's talking about. But we wanted to mention it.
Michael Burry, who called the last session, has done it again. Remember back in August 15th, where I shared that he sold out of all his positions and bought just one stock, which was Geo? Well, it was up another 16% yesterday. It's now up over 50% since he bought back in August. Guess who also made almost 60% on that trade? Everyone who is automatically copy trading this man via autopilot. And the way that the technology works is you simply choose your pilot. In this case, it's Michael Burry. You then go in, connect your portfolio, which is right here, and then you allocate however much money you want to copy trade them through this screen here. And you can copy trade people like Buffett, Pelosi, Burry, and we're going to be adding more people soon. And you can check it out for yourself by either searching this or by reading the top.
Accounts like this, what they do every day or every week, they put out these stock picks of things that, go invest in this because so-and-so is doing it. And this is what will happen. And what happens is over the course of a year of making content and telling people what to buy or giving people suggestions of this is what so-and-so has bought, implying that you should do. Then what they can do on any given month is go cherry pick whichever stocks that they've talked about over the previous, 3 to 12 months, cherry pick the best performers and make videos like this where they say, hey, if you'd followed me and if you had been getting my great stock tips, then you would be up 60% or whatever the number is. Never mind the fact that if you were to put money into every single stock this guy highlights, you probably have lost money at this point. But that is unimportant for his brand. All that matters is that he can point to a handful and say, look, I talked about this 9 months ago. If you had done this, look how much money you would have made. Nobody can predict stocks. You have, senators who are just getting direct inside information that lets them know what's going to happen, which is why they get ludicrously wealthy. And yes, you can follow what they're doing to some extent, but the way the filing reporting works is that you only find out about what these senators or any of these people who have to publicly file their investments, you only find out about their investments like it's between 30 to 90 days after the investment. So you can follow their moves with a 30 to 90 day delay, but you have to understand the market's getting that information at the same time or earlier than you are. The market immediately responds to those reports. In this case, he's not talking about politicians. He's talking about investors who do have a history of like predicting things better than others. But like, I've paid attention to Michael Burry over the last few years. He's been wrong a lot. Now, that does not mean that he's not also right a lot. He was very right about the 2008 recession, but he's not an oracle. The other thing too is even if you know exactly what's going to happen, knowing when it's going to happen is the trick, not what's going to happen. Everybody in the world knew that a tech recession was going to happen at some point. But the thing is, if you waited too long, you missed out on all these tech gains. So like the issue has never been knowing what's going to happen. It's knowing when. And none of these tech knockers know when anything, which is why if you actually go hold them accountable to every pick that they've made, you'll see that they're just, this is entertainment. This is, it's entertainment and it's affiliate marketing. The whole goal of this account is to get you to use autopilot. It's to get you to use that tool. You use that tool, he makes money. He can be wrong on every single stock prediction for the next year and he'll still make money. That's the whole reason he's doing this. If he could predict the market, he wouldn't need to talk to you. He would just be sitting there making billions of dollars. But he's sitting here telling you about how he predicted this one thing to get you an autopilot. And the other thing is he has the advantage of being able to delete any video that doesn't perform well. I've actually caught several people doing just that. But the point here is this is a content strategy. It's a content strategy to highlight the winners and ignore the losers. And you know, his whole goal is just to get you to sign up for autopilot.
Getting to the proof. Try not to prove anything. Try not to. The time in which you prove is when they ask you, tell me the 3 clients you worked with. Don't tell them ahead of time. Save that. That's your ammunition, okay? Speak confidently, hold yourself high, and you don't need to explain. Whenever possible, do not explain anything. Why does it cost this much? Somebody asks you, why does it cost this much? What do you do? Well, we have 4 team members, I have 2 offices, you know how rates are and Sydney's so expensive. That's what you do. You've just proved yourself. Don't do that. Why does it cost as much? That's what it costs. What are you going to say to that? That's what it costs to work with people like me. That's what my customers pay me. Don't explain. Why is it like that? Policy. We don't do that. Just policy. Okay?
Okay. I love this video because I think a lot of people watching this would like feel this aversion to this idea. And he is spot on. In fact, after watching this video, I looked through some of his content. Chris Do. Follow this guy. All right. This guy has some of the best content that I've seen in a long time on marketing. Like, go follow him. Just tell you that right now. Like this. So here, and I'm going to try to explain why this point is so powerful. The most powerful consultants, like the people who are the best at what they do at problem solving for businesses, when they go into a sales call, like they are not selling. They go into the call asking questions. They go in to learn. Like they just go in to figure out what's the situation and like, what does the situation require to get the outcome that this person wants? And so then once they get to the part where they have a feel for what needs to happen, then they're simply explaining what they're going to do, how they're going to solve the problem. Before I got into copywriting, I paid my way through college in like 10 weeks going and doing door-to-door sales, where I would just sit down with people and sell them this like package of guides that help parents help their kids with their homework, because a lot of like school methods for like math and English and things, the methods that are being used now are not the same as when those parents were in school. So it's kind of this dual thing of like, it's for the kids, but also to help the parents help the kids. Anyway, this package was like $500, a pretty big sale to just show up at someone's door and sell. And I sold these things like hotcakes. Like I paid for 3 years of college in 10 weeks. And the reason was because I didn't go in trying to persuade someone to buy these. I walked in, sat down with people and figured out what's the challenge connected to helping your kids learn. And then I just connected the product to the challenge. So they said, here's what I'm struggling with. And then I showed them like places in the book where it would help. I took that thing directly into selling copywriting services. That same approach to selling copywriting and marketing services, just sitting down with like people figuratively, usually because it's like on a Zoom, and you're asking like, okay, like what's the thing you're struggling with your messaging, with your marketing, whatever. And then you basically just repeat back to them everything that they just told you as, here's what I hear you're saying, and this is how you solve that. And you connect the solution that you're selling to the problem that they're experiencing. And there's no really explaining or persuading. You're not trying to justify anything. You're helping them understand how this all works. That's your whole role, is you're just there to help them understand how it works. It's very matter of fact. I see so many people go into the call, just like Chris talks about here, where they go into the call like selling, like they're just throwing all their results out, all these numbers and figures and testimonials, whatever. And it feels so desperate. It feels so desperate. I've been on sales calls with people trying to sell me who do that. I actually find like whenever I try to go network, people just start trying to sell themselves to me. Um, and it's really annoying and not at all effective because it feels desperate. It feels like what, like, why are you trying to prove something to me? Like I'm not looking for you to prove anything. I'm just trying to connect. I'm just trying to understand what you do. Um, Same with sales calls. Like you're just trying to understand what people are doing and how you can help. There's no proving. There's no persuasion. There's no justification. You're trying to understand what they need and then helping them understand how to get what they want. Um, and if they ask, okay, cool. Like, have you done this with someone else? Then you bring it up. You respond to them with the proof and you hold it like a trump card. Let's say you're at a party and someone walks up to you and says like, oh, I have a 7-figure business. You're like, the fuck? Like that's completely out of context. Why are you telling me that? I'm pretty skeptical that that's even true now. Now imagine you're at the same party and someone brings up the topic about businesses and you come over to this guy and he like mentions what he does, mentions he's got a business or whatever. That's it. And then like his friend goes, okay, this dude's really underselling himself. His business does 7 figures a year. He's been running it for so long, whatever. He like hypes up the dude. Or even if someone asked like him, what sort of numbers does your business do? And then he responded himself. It would be way more powerful than if he just showed up and tried to throw that in your face. It's the same with the sales call. That's what Chris is talking about here. When you hold it in reserve, when you hold like the really impressive stuff in reserve as kind of like this card you could play, when it ends up coming out in context, in response to questions the customer is asking, it's super powerful versus when you just hop in the call and immediately are trying to impress them with every little piece of data you have. So again, it's a concept that like has some nuance to it and that so many people get wrong because it's kind of counterintuitive to how people think you want to go about something. So really great point, great delivery from Chris. And again, like I've looked through a lot of more of this guy's stuff and it's really good shit.
A lot of hate for this, but I'm going to say it anyway. No amount of security is worth suffering of a mediocre life that is chained to a routine that has killed your dreams. And I stand by that.
All right. So I wanted to comment on this one because this is kind of like the provocative, inspirational content that I see from a lot of like course sellers these days. And that's what she is. She sells a course, come get your freedom type of a thing. No problem with that. Nothing wrong with that. But what I consistently see, especially when we're talking about making money online or pursuing a career path, or, investing in yourself, investing in pursuing your dreams, whatever, there's two ways to approach it. There's the fear-based way and the opportunity-based way. The fear-based way is honestly the most effective. And it's what you see a lot. It's this kind of thing where they're playing on your insecurities. They're playing on your fears. And what she's doing here is she's playing on this fear that people have of not realizing their potential, or this fear of kind of just being an average person. If you're trying to make money, it's a powerful tool. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Now I will not judge anyone for using it. I don't think I'm a better person for doing something different than anyone else. But here's the thing. I am an empathetic person. And I very deeply, deeply remember being in the place in my life where I did not have a lot of money and I needed money. And I was seeing all these offers, all these sales pitches with amounts that I really would have struggled to pay and being actively told, like, if you don't invest in this, you're not going to achieve anything in life. And it sucks. It fucking sucks to sit there and wonder, like, do I pay my rent? Do I keep the amount that I have for groceries? Or do I invest in this training? Like, I know that feeling and I don't wish that on anyone, but it fucking sucks. And that's why I made the conscious choice to never in my marketing tell people that you need to buy this thing from me in order to get the result you want, because I don't need to. Like, there's a whole other path that's like, hey, there's additional opportunities out there for you. Like if you're in a job you hate, there are options. There's all these business models online. This one in particular that I help teach people through of copywriting and selling copywriting as a freelance service. or using writing to build a brand, um, this is an option for you. And guess what? It's an option that's going to be there for a long time. Like you don't have to move on it today. If you're investing a lot of your time thinking about this and feeling this drive to do it, but you keep putting it off, like, yeah, then I'm going to encourage you to bet on yourself. Like, take a shot because if nothing else, you can take the shot. And then if you decide it's not for you, put that energy and that mental focus into finding what is right for you. But like, it's a whole different thing to say there's this opportunity versus like, if you don't do this, if you don't buy my training, you're going to be mediocre. You're going to die with regret. That's so fucked up. I like, for me at least, like that, I don't ever want to make someone feel that way. This woman's video is not the extreme version of this. I do kind of think it taps into that, but obviously people get much more aggressive with this. And I don't want to make her the poster of like, particularly because this is often very deeply connected to toxic masculinity that this whole message gets thrown around. So I don't want to pin that all on this individual. But like entrepreneurship is not for everyone. A lot of people don't enjoy it. A lot of people prefer stability. Like if you're not in a job you hate and you get a stable paycheck doing a job that you're at least neutral on and it finances your ability to live the life you want outside of work and you don't wake up every morning dreading going to work, who am I to tell you that you're not getting what you want out of life? We all have dreams that are never going to be realized. There's an opportunity cost to everything. We only have the ability to pursue a finite amount of dreams in our life just by virtue of time being our most limited resource. If your dream is to like spend the most time with your family, building a business is not the best option for you, especially if you already have the family. Like if that's your long-term dream and you don't have a family yet, then yeah, it may be the best option to invest your free time now in building a business that's going to cash flow you for less time in the future. But if you like actively have a family, you're going to sacrifice a lot of time in the short term with hopefully the chance to build something in the future. But even then, it's not guaranteed. And depending on your mentality, your multitasking, how you operate, like it may cause you more stress than the benefit of the additional income that you have the potential to get. I don't like content that tells people if you aren't doing this, you're failing at life. And that's what I feel like at its worst. That's what I feel like this does. I know a lot of entrepreneurs, some making a lot more money than me, and they are not any happier than anyone else. I promise you that. They have, depending on how successful they have more options. They have more things on the checklist that they're going to go try to fill that void. But I promise you, they're not notably happier. They are definitely happier than people in jobs they hate and people who spent the majority of their time worried about getting their next paycheck. So if you're in a position where you either hate your job or you spend a huge amount of your mental energy worrying about money, I do think you should be actively pursuing better situations. Maybe not entrepreneurship, but like skills development to get, better roles. Or just pursuing, if you have a skill that you do know can be sold on the open market as a business instead of as an employee, you're always going to make 3 times more selling anything as a company than selling it to a company as an employee. Our economy is designed to fuck over employees and pay business owners. So any place that you have a skill that you can sell as a business owner, you are going to make more money. You are going to also probably embrace some more stress and multitasking. Whether or not on balance it's worth it for you, I don't know. I can't answer that for you. You probably can't even answer it for you until you try it. My whole goal is to semi-inspire people who don't like their lives to take action on trying something else, on trying something new, and then educate them on what some of their options are, the ones specifically connected to things that I have actively done and accomplished and can say this definitively can work. But beyond that, I just hate brands that focus on making people feel like there's something wrong with them, playing on people's insecurities, or trying to prey on people's fears. Hope this was helpful. Subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next video.